Hey, this is Joey Meyer, and I'm going to be your teacher for this Anatomy 2 class. Let's talk a little bit about the textbook. We're going to be using the 11th edition of Marie Ben Hohen's Anatomy and Physiology, and we'll be covering chapters 16 to 29, which is basically the last half of the book. We did the first half in AP1, and now we're doing AP2. The lab book is going to be the third edition of Ammerman's Exploring Anatomy and Physiology in the Laboratory. Same thing, we're doing the second half of the book. I know these are really costly, but you will definitely need to have them. They're going to be assigned readings in the textbook, and you are going to be earning points for the lab by showing me your completed pre-labs, your completed exercises. I need you to fill those things out completely because we're going over the circulatory system, the lymphatic system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, the urinary system, the endocrine system, the reproductive system. If that sounds like a lot of stuff in a very short period of time, you're right, it is. And you don't want to fall behind because you don't have the tools to do it. So make sure you have the textbook before we get started.
Okay, now that we've gotten you need a textbook out of the way, let's move on and talk a little bit about tests and talk about how we're going to work around some of the limited facilities that we're starting with. First of all, I want you to know that there's going to be a cardiovascular test, a test on lymphatic and respiratory systems, one on digestive and urinary, and one on reproduction and development. The endocrine will probably be split a little bit between digestive urinary and a little bit on reproductive development, because then we can do hormones that are targeted towards each of those systems. There will be a comprehensive final, and let me tell you a little bit about the tests themselves. Lecture tests will be mostly multiple choice, but also fill in the blank, short answer, and labeling. The lab tests are a little more intensive. They are going to be a blank answer sheet that you will fill in. You will look at a thing and write down the answer. I realize that that's intensive, but it's definitely the best way to make sure that you did learn the information. So be prepared that you need to be able to write out the answers. Now, let's talk a little bit about the resources that you'll have to prepare you for these tests. There will be assigned readings from the textbook. That's why you need to have a textbook. You will also have access to the same PowerPoints that I'm using for lecture. Those are already up in Moodle right now. And let's talk about internet links. I would like each week to be providing you with links, and some of those will be to videos or articles that illustrate the ideas that we're talking about in lecture. Others will be links that will give you information you need for lab. This is a new program. We're just starting out. So we're building the facilities to do full wet labs and normal labs, but we don't have them yet. Okay, let me give you an example of how we're going to be able to do these labs. For instance, because we don't have a wet lab built yet, there will be no dissections. So you won't be dissecting a pig. And you might say, well, that means I can't do this exercise that says dissect a pig and write down the names of all the organs in this cavity, all the organs in that cavity. Well, that's not accurate. What we're going to be doing this semester, since we don't have the facilities, we're going to be taking photographs. I expect you to look at a photograph and say, these are the organs in that cavity. These are the organs in the other cavity. Even though you can't do the dissection, you can still complete the lab. You can still fill out the lab book. You can still do the exercises in the lab book and still get the points just like we had a wet lab. Is it ideal? No, but it is a method of letting us use our existing facilities and still work towards the goals for the class, still complete the material. Anyway, I hope that information is helpful to you. There's no way to do that.
And I look forward to meeting with you.